Hey everybody, it is your boy NCL7 here. Welcome to another review video. Today, I'm gonna finally be doing my review of Gran Turismo 7. This has been a long awaited video, to me at the very least, because this game's been out for quite a while and I've spent over 20 hours on the game, and this game's definitely been talked about on the internet before, so I think it's time to finally talk about this game and review it and give you guys my honest thoughts on the game. So let's go right into it, and starting off with the presentation of the game. Now, if you don't know what Gran Turismo is, it's basically just a driving simulator. It's literally in the logo of the game. It's basically trying to recapture how real driving can be in a video game, though it is a racing game. You race other cars and whatnot, and that's pretty much the game. So basically just think any racing game. That's basically what the game is. And honestly, I've said it before, but I don't think Gran Turismo is really that innovative when it comes to its stuff, because let's be honest, the fact that it tries so hard to be a simulation is cool, but it really leaves the idea of creativity out the window, though there are a few attempts. But honestly though, it's not even really a bad thing, because the game tries to go for that simulation. In that regard, it does it quite well. I think the game does it really well, and unlike Gran Turismo Sport, which was more so online focused, Gran Turismo 7 seems to go more so back to the roots of the series in the sense of, well, there's actually single player content, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But presentation wise, it's pretty good, honestly, and the visuals for this game are so goddamn good too. They're not really that different from Gran Turismo Sport, but it's still really nice looking. Gran Turismo Sport was a really good looking game too for PS4, so, you know, pretty solid visuals, as well as pretty good frame rate as well. And now moving on to the gameplay, because there isn't a story for this game. I mean, unless you want to count the idea of the Gran Turismo Cafe and completing menus for the cafe. We'll get into that in a second. I have questions about it, but let's go into the gameplay. Now, as I mentioned before, it's a driving simulator, so don't expect anything that innovative. You drive, and you race other players. That's the game. And now, granted, the races can be different, the track can be different, or the conditions of the race can be different, whether it's during a sunny day, or it can be on a dark, cold night, or even during rain, which is a new thing in this game, as the rain physics in this game are a little bit different than that of the previous games, which I don't like driving in the rain. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't really like driving in the rain. It's difficult to see, and like there's mist all over the air and whatnot, and I don't like it. I personally don't like it, and I don't really like it in this game either. I don't like driving in the rain. Period. But gameplay wise, it is still fun, and there's a lot of cars to collect. I believe there's over like 300 or maybe over 400, which granted isn't as much as that of some of the earlier games in the series, but honestly it's not that big of an issue considering the fact that they're so good when it comes to detail. Like, the detail on the cars are just pristine. They all look really good, especially shiny. I like shiny cars. They all look really solid, and they play really cool, and they play at least a little differently compared to each other. Now, to be fair, I played the game with the PS5 controller and not with the wheel controller that some people play with. I've heard it's better with the wheel, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. But honestly, gameplay-wise, there's not really much to say. Really, it comes down to what you can do in the game, and we'll get to that in a second. But overall, gameplay-wise, I mean, it's nothing innovative, but that doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, it's actually quite good. And moving on to the controls, I already touched on the fact that I played with the DualSense, which it actually controls quite well. I like the controls for the game, and I really like how they handled the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, especially the adaptive triggers. It feels a lot more like you're pumping the brakes or pumping on the gas pedal on a car, as well as the controller feeling like when you're driving on grass, you feel that controller. It makes it feel like you're driving on grass. So, good work on immersion. Good work on immersion, polyphony. So, control-wise, it's pretty solid. And I don't know what it's like with the wheel, because it's too expensive, and I don't really have a good place to put it anyway. So, moving on to the content, which has kind of been the thing I've been building up to this whole time. Content-wise, there's a lot more to do in this game than Gran Turismo Sport. A lot more to do. There's an actual single-player campaign. which I mentioned a little bit before. So essentially, this game, you go to the Gran Turismo Cafe, and you have to complete these menus. And essentially, how do you complete these menus? Well, you have to get various specific cars from whatever brand, whether it's like all Ferrari cars or all Japan cars or something like that for a menu. And like a couple other things as well, like complete a championship or something like that. But I'd have to ask one thing. What the hell kind of cafe makes its customer get them cars? I mean, unless you work there, but like, why on earth do we have to get cars for a cafe? I've never heard of a cafe in my entire life where you have to bring cars there. I mean, honestly, the amount of cars I bring there would probably be enough to keep the place open. No sense. I don't get it. I don't get the point of it. Why? I don't get it. But it's something, and you can do like races and whatnot. Now, there's different types of races. There's some races where you race only like a couple laps, and some where you race a lot of laps. Some races can consist of fuel consumption, meaning that you actually have to use the pit every now and then in order to refuel on your gas or change out your tires and change them out with better ones, and vice versa. There's not really a lot to say, but there are other things to do as well, such as buying more cars, whether it's getting them from the used car dealership so you can get cars pretty cheap, or you can go to Brand Central and get them brand spanking new, or the Legend Car Shop where you can get like really expensive ones that are like millions of credits. And that exists. There's also mission mode as well, where you complete various missions. There's drift trials if you're into that sort of thing. And also escapes if you're also into that sort of thing of making liveries and whatnot. There's an online sport mode that I have only played a couple times, but I absolutely hate sport mode because it's absolutely not for me, because I'm a complete and utter novice at this game, so I do not like it. But it's probably okay for like really competitive players, I guess. Or people that want to get into real motorsports, in which case, I mean, Gran Turismo is a good idea. But content-wise, the game actually has quite a lot. Now, the game is $70, but I think the game's content, there's plenty here. A lot here. Even at launch, a lot of stuff was here, though there is one issue with this, and that is online DRM. And if you don't know what that means, basically, if this game has to be online at all times, essentially, either you have to be on internet or you have to be on internet, as well as the servers being online. If the servers are undergoing maintenance, you can't play the game. You can play the arcade mode, but there's no benefit to it. Literally no benefit. No daily workout or any credits or anything at all. So, essentially, you have to be online at all times to play the game, which is not a very good thing. I understand why they did this, because they want to reduce cheating, but I don't know. I thought this game was supposed to be more of a single-player game and not an online game. I thought that's what Gran Turismo Sport was for. Why on earth does the game have the online DRM in the first place? And unfortunately, because of that, a lot of people really don't like it. And I understand it from the perspective of, if you have a PlayStation 5, then you more than likely do have internet, because honestly, the only way you can get a PlayStation 5 is through the internet. Though the game did also release on PS4, so there is that. But honestly, I don't know why they ever decided to put online DRM. And a lot of people have been asking for them to get rid of it, but honestly, I don't see them doing that anytime soon. I don't see it. I highly doubt it. I mean, they're gonna stick to that whole prevent cheating thing for quite a while, so I'm placing my bets on a no. And another thing that people got mad about was the credits in the game, as they made some updates where they lowered the payout of credits, which pissed a lot of people off, because it basically, the game forced you to microtransactions, which were a lot less nice than they were in Gran Turismo Sport. And needless to say, Polyphony and Sony got a lot of backlash for this, which is the reason this video is so late, because I kind of wanted to see how they handled it. And they actually handled it quite well. Regarding the credits thing, they have been tweaking the game consistently since launch to make the credits as balanced as possible, payout-wise. And regarding the online DRM, well, there was a period of time where the game wasn't even playable for at least 24 hours, which... that's impressive. That's impressive. Though they did actually give out an apology and gave everyone 1 million credits for free, which was a nice enough gesture. Though I would have also preferred to have more modes available offline. I think that'd also be cool, because the older Gran Turismo games, you didn't have to be online in order to actually play through the whole game. So there's that. I mean, those could do that, but even so, though, given these issues, it does seem like Polyphony and Sony have been patching it up consistently. And I'll get into this more in the final thoughts, but I'm still think content-wise the game is really solid. And the way that the companies have gone about trying to fix the game up ever since launch has been alright. Though I do definitely think they could do a little bit better in some places, such as make some more stuff offline. That'd be nice. But anyways, moving on to the soundtrack, there isn't really much for me to say soundtrack-wise, aside from one thing that I didn't mention in the contents area, that being Music Rally. And Music Rally is very boring. I mean, it's really nothing that interesting. The only time I actually dabbled in the mode was when the game was downloading, because that's the only thing you could have done while you wait for the game to download. And I mean, it's okay, but here's my question. Why is it on the main menu of the game? Seriously, because you keep in mind, when you first start up the game, you go to this first main menu that has the world map and then Music Rally. Why isn't Music Rally just in the world map? It makes it feel like Music Rally is supposed to be a completely separate thing, but yet you can finish all the songs in Music Rally in probably like 30 minutes. So why are they trying to make this seem like a much bigger mode? And it's not even that interesting of a mode anyways. It's just driving to music. Even though the older games had that too. It's just very whatever. I don't really have too much interest in it personally. They are going to be updating it though with more tracks, but with 5 at launch, I don't know. Now finally moving on to my final thoughts. And I know I was getting a little negative at the end, but don't get me wrong. I do think the game is really fun. I mean, honestly, it's probably my favorite Gran Turismo game because it mixes the good aspects of the previous games along with new gameplay. But there are some very big issues with the game. Specifically, not necessarily just the game itself, but how the companies have handled the game, I think could easily be a very easy point for criticism. But honestly, for the game itself, it's really solid. It's a fun game. It's not the most innovative game ever, but it's a really good driving simulator game, if you're into that sort of stuff. And to be honest, I'm not that big into this stuff, but I'll make an exception for Gran Turismo. So, on my scale of 0 to 10, I give Gran Turismo 7 a 9 out of 10. It is my favorite Gran Turismo game, and I don't know what score I gave Gran Turismo Sport in my review of the game, but if it was at this same level, then I guess push it to an 8.5. I don't remember what score I gave for that video, so yeah. Gran Turismo 7 is my favorite. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts on the game are. Let me know how you feel the game is and how Polyphony and Sony have handled the game. And if you want to see more Gran Turismo content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And please consider checking out the end cards in this video, because I made a Gran Turismo iceberg like a month ago, and it's my biggest iceberg video, and it didn't really, I mean, it did okay, but I would have preferred the video to have more views, so check that out in the end cards. And I made a Gran Turismo Sport review. I actually like the game, which I know people don't agree with, but I don't really care. I like it. So yeah, check those out. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.